I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the VHS Doom podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Crutcher, here with my co-host, Mikey.
How's it going, everyone?
Hey, yeah, man. So we're super excited to be here with you guys this week. This episode is very cool because it was actually chosen by our listeners who obviously have issues making decisions.
Yeah, it's been a tie since I started it, and it's really weird.
Yeah, maybe it's just because the titles, are that good and there's that much competition. But so unfortunately, no, you know what? Fortunately, today we have ourselves a double feature. We are going to be talking about two Video Nasties videos, the titles of which are Faces of Death, woo, and Cannibal Holocaust. Woo!
Yay!
Maybe I'll put in a sound effect. I don't know.
I do like both, though.
Yeah, they're both really good. Now, the third movie in that poll was actually Last House on the Left, which did not receive quite as much love.
We should do an episode on that later.
We should. We should. We definitely should. That's a good one.
We should. You know what? I think we should do a Wes Craven episode.
Oh yeah,
because like every time he did a different movie, it would change the genre forever.
Right? Yeah, I agree. I think that would be an amazing idea. Let's put it down in the list of episodes to do. So anyway, yeah, so today, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed our last episode where we took a nice break. Since that last episode where we enjoyed our Frankenstein break room, the reason it was called the Frankenstein break room is because I had to paste it together out of just a shit ton of recording attempts because I was having terrible internet issues. But in the meantime, I have had my cable company come out. They've assessed the problem. I've upgraded my package. I have upgraded my wiring. I even got a mesh home system for Wi-Fi, so I should not have any recording issues on my end.
You're going to be turning one of the rooms in the house into a recording studio. I see it.
Bro, I know. That's it. And so if we have any issues, it's all Mikey's fault. And you guys know that he manages our Twitter and our, social media. So go yell at him if we have any issues going forward. Okay?
No, I'm actually I'm in the room the router's in. So.
Oh, look at you. So you'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the trick. This is the clearest it's ever been with us talking on anything. So I think that this episode's going to be super solid. So yeah, before we jump into our, our episode today and all the details of both of these films that we're double featuring, let's just shoot this shit a little bit. Let's see what have you watched this week, man? What you been up to?
I watched a lot of the TV show Yellow Jackets.
Oh, okay.
Right now. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's on Showtime, I think. It's really fucked up too.
They keep advertising that to me on my Prime.
I think you would enjoy it.
Yeah.
If you like Lord of the Flies type of things.
I do.
With other kinds of weird stuff into it, yeah.
Yeah. Man, the first time I read Lord of the Flies, holy God, that one messes you up,
Yeah.
I think I was in middle school,
I think it was. I think that's when they had us read it too.
Yeah, that's an intense book for a seventh grader to read, but yeah. No, that was okay. So I'll have to check that out. I do like that kind of stuff. Any movies?
I mean, obviously the ones that we're going to be talking about today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Other than that, not really, actually. I had a busy weekend with my family. So
Yeah, we recorded later in the week, so there hasn't been as much time, and we're recording earlier in the next week, so there really hasn't been much time for us to watch a lot of stuff in between our two times talking. Uh,
I will say I was going to watch the Gialli set, but
oh
I
yeah,
passed out really early accidentally.
that's all right. That's that dad life, man. I get it. You know, I did. I made it a point to pick one of the three movies to watch. So like one weekend day a week, like my wife will take the baby and I have the day free. And then vice versa. You know, I do the same thing. So the night before my free day, I usually stay up and I try to watch something. And I did Last House on the Left. You know, the Wes Craven original. Which is so disturbing now that I have a girl, like a little girl child.
Just a child in general, though, if you think about it,
Just a
like
child in
that
general.
scares me.
Yeah, just being a parent in general, that movie really got under my skin. And it's all over the place, you know, like it definitely was going for shock value. The script is all over, like the plot is all over. It ends much faster than I thought it would. But everything that happened made perfect sense from the parents' perspective, you know. I got a
Have you
little.
seen the remake?
I have not seen the remake, but I don't know if
It's
I
actually one of
want
the
to.
better remakes from past, like when they were like remaking everything. Aaron Paul is in it. There's also a House on the Edge of the Park from Italy. It was shot around the same time. Stars David Hess also, like that one.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's I would say it's more fucked up than Last House.
Really? Okay.
It's by director of Cannibal Holocaust, Rogerio Diodato.
Oh man. Yeah, we're gonna dive in on him.
He's one of my favorite directors.
Yeah, he if to be arrested for murder, and we'll talk about this later, but to be arrested for murder for a film that you made is quite the accomplishment for anyone in the horror genre, you know?
Yeah, what I love about him though, like he didn't even just do horror. Like there's some good stuff. Like he did a lot of police movies too. Like Live Like a Cop, Die Like a Man
Oh, okay. Have
in
not heard of that.
'76. It was a couple of years before he invented the cannibal genre.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, we'll. I don't want to start talking too much about that yet
Polizio
because
Tesci, because that's a whole another genre of movies.
you're right. Yeah, but let's hold off on the cannibal stuff a little bit. But yeah, yeah, man. So that yeah, Last House on the Left. I was kind of torn actually between Last House on the Left and then oh shoot, what's the title of the one where she? It's
I
kind
Spit on
of
Your Grave.
yeah. I Spit on Your Grave. Yeah. Um,
I like those movies. The remakes are really good too, honestly.
yeah, you know, they did an actual sequel. Did you watch the actual sequel?
I have it. Yeah, it came with the box set. It wasn't
Yeah.
that good. I
Oh,
think
it
the
wasn't.
remakes are better,
Okay, gotcha.
which is
Yeah.
weird because I usually would say the otherwise.
So, I Spit on Your Grave and Last on the House on the Left. You like both remakes?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
The only one of the remakes of I Spit on Your Grave, well, not remake, sequels of the remake, I haven't seen is the third one. I got that recently. I got to watch that.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
Kind of behind on movies.
No, it's all right. I get it, man. Yeah. So
Sad
that
life.
was it. That was the only thing that I watched outside of like some TV and Bob's Burgers.
When was the first time you saw it?
So, maybe when I was like 20, you know, like 21,
Yeah.
22, when I didn't have any responsibilities, I wasn't married and didn't have a girlfriend, and all I did was go to work, come home, and watch DVDs that I bought from Blockbuster going out of business, you know, in that point in my life. Um, Blockbuster.
I remember the day I got mine. It's pretty funny, actually.
Do you?
Katie came over. This is back when we were still doing the long distance thing. It was like 2012-ish, I think.
Okay. So you were at your parents' house still?
Yeah, so like I found it at FYE, and I found like a bunch of somebody like dumped their whole collection in the used bin, the
Okay.
used section, and like I got that one, Demons from Umberto Bava,
Mm-hmm.
and a couple other weird ones, which was like were yeah, I don't know, it was awesome. But I just remember watching that and I was like horrified.
That's a great. I feel like, unfortunately, in like the digital, like direct video, essentially, like direct download, whatever you want to call it,
Like streaming,
age, huh?
streaming,
Who?
streaming.
Oh, stream.
You mean streaming?
Yeah, downloading. I'm old, man. Streaming, yes.
I know, I know.
In the stream, I feel like in the streaming age, you
Everything is so available. I don't like
it
it.
is. It's you know what? I miss the hunt. You know.
That's the
Y-
best part, honestly. That's why I like to go to the archive
Yes, I
because they have
know.
everything. They have every other thing aside from their own
Yeah,
Vinegar Syndrome stuff, and their
yeah,
youth section, wall to wall. It's crazy.
yeah. So like we're not getting paid to advertise the archive, but I'm fine advertising them anyway.
I love
Uh,
them, but online I do love Diabolic DVD. I will say that
oh, you were just telling me about that the other day. Yeah,
I've been buying for them from them for years. I
yeah.
just got the Forgotten GLE set and a bunch of Nazi exploitation movies from them.
Yep, yep. What did you get in that? Was it another She-Wolf movie or something?
Hold on, let me get it. Oh, the one you were talking about was For Your Lines in Uniform,
Oh, was that it?
which
Okay,
is
gotcha.
She Devils of the SS.
She Devils, that was it. I know you sent a picture, and I thought I saw something
It was
like
on
that.
the receipt I got from Diabolic.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
I got
Cool.
that one. I got Salon Kitty, Gestapo's Last Orgy, which I showed you.
Yeah, we've watched that one. Yep.
That's probably like your first. No, I showed you the other one before that.
hmm
And then, have you ever seen any of the Patrick movies
No, I have
from
not.
Australia? It's like this guy who's in a coma, but he has
hmm
telepathy and he starts killing people.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
weird Australian movie. I just got it's a two disc set. It's the original and then the remake.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
and then the last one was Love Camp 7. It was
Uh,
on a video nasty and a Nazi exploitation movie.
I think did we watch that one together?
No, I've never seen this one before. I've
Oh,
shown
okay.
you SS Hell Camp, which is now called Beast and Heat.
Right, that one had like the werewolf type creature,
The weird
right?
gorilla guy, yeah.
Yeah, gorilla guy. Yeah, yeah.
And then I showed you. Oh God, what's the other one? It has four lines in the title too.
Four eyes?
The no, not you know what I mean. Like, the German word for fuck this. Word.
Fraulein?
Yes, I can't pronounce
Oh,
it.
gotcha.
I'll just show you the cover of it. Yeah, it's one of those ones. I've showed you a decent amount of them. They're weird.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, we've watched a lot of weird stuff together. That's all right.
If you like, Inglorious Bastards, that's where he's pulling from.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I think we did talk about that actually.
I think that's how I started showing you those movies because
Yep.
I told you the original Inglorious Bastards was one
hmm
of those movies.
Yeah, yeah. And I loved it. So
Yeah,
cool.
the Italians had a thing for writing weird like Nazi things.
I think that the Italians had a really odd relationship with the fact that they had been allied. And I mean, in the 70s, you're only 20 years
Yeah,
removed, you know, having allied themselves with such a grotesque murderer. So I think that their reaction to that, at least in like cinema, was very interesting. It's almost like an interesting study in like self-reflection and
yeah.
human behavior.
There's a funny thing. Elsa She-Wolf of the SS was filmed on the set that they used for MASH.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Nice. MASH. I have not watched an episode of MASH since I was like 10 years
me
old.
either. It
And
used to be
my,
on all the time on TV. Like when I would stay home from school, it'd be MASH and like Jerry Springer.
yeah. Anyway, well, we got a
Yeah.
little off track there, but yeah, so that's our week. That's what we've watched. So welcome back to the store. We're super glad you guys keep returning and using your membership benefits. The membership card, it's $3. Don't lose it. I'll charge you another $3 for sure. And please make sure that you always remember to be kind and rewind.
And we have cameras all, so we know who's like eating them now. So.
Yeah. For some reason, when I watch the cameras, sometimes the boxes just like float off the shelf, and then I can see them being gnawed on by something invisible, and then they're put back on the shelf. Who do
Is
you
it
think that
like?
is?
Have you ever gotten a like? Does it look like this like person who's like horrible scars and stuff?
Yeah, like he's got a bunch of like band-aids and
Oh,
stuff when he.
Scabby Man. Okay.
Oh, is that who it is? Oh, Scabby, Scabby, Scabby.
He's
He
rubbing
is.
his scabs all over the place.
Yeah, I don't bother actually telling him no because I'm afraid he will just eviscerate me and pull my guts out on the floor.
He'll tell
So
you to do it, so you'll do it to yourself, kind of thing.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
Quan Chi and like Mortal Kombat kind of thing.
yeah, it's pretty bad. So
Did you see the trailer?
now you posted it. I didn't watch it though.
Oh,
How's
it's
it?
just a
How's it look?
second. It's like this little piece of sand coming out of an hourglass.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Was it like a Rickroll, like a troll?
No, so NetherRealm Studios did a thank you for 30 years
Oh,
video,
okay.
and at the end of it was a teaser.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's exciting. When do they have like a release date
No,
set
not
yet?
yet. I haven't seen anything about that yet. I just saw the teaser.
Oh, okay. Heavy
And then there
penis.
were a bunch of
Heard.
memes about it, and I posted on our page.
Yeah. Heavy penis
Yeah.
page.
What?
I'm just
my
saying.
name, my name.
I'm just calling you by your name, Heavy Penis.
God damn it.
Dude, I like
He's
that
just
one
going to
though.
keep
Yeah.
telling you guys what names I use in this app.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, Mr. Beefman, Heavy Penis. Let's get it. All right. Yeah. So once again, friends and patrons, thank you so much for coming back to the VHS Doom Rental Store. We are your one-stop shop for video games, movies, particularly bad. Well, no, I'm not going to say bad.
I hate when people say that, though. 'Cause, you know what I mean? Like,
It's
just
not
because
bad.
like a movie could be like not
Right.
good, it's still, I don't know.
It's art, right? So anyway,
Yeah,
I'm not going to say
but I do think I have directors who I don't like at all, and I think they are trash. But you know,
that. Yeah, they're trash, but their art is still their art.
Michael
So
Bay.
Michael Bay. Did you see somebody posted on Twitter like Michael Bay was an artist and like just screenshots
That's
of
why I
his.
said that. That made me want to vomit.
Oh, it made me throw up in my mouth a little bit.
Katie calls me pretentious, and I feel like I'm starting to be that.
Right? As long as you're not a gatekeeper, and we're not because we're drawing
No, I
people
want
into
everybody to
this
find
world.
stuff.
I don't think you're a gatekeeper. I think that you are a gateway drug into the world of trashy horror movies.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so let me try that again. Thank you, friends and patrons, and welcome back to the VHS Doom podcast / video rental store. Your one-stop shop for movies of all kinds, video games, candy, sody pop, demon experiences, possibly being eviscerated, messes all over the floor, and chewed on boxes. We are super happy to have you here. You can have a membership card yourself for only $3 a month. But if you lose that card, I might throw another card at your head and charge you another $3.
And I'll hit you with a steel chair.
What's that?
I'll hit them with a steel chair.
Oh, yeah. Mikey is known for hitting people with steel chairs just for the slightest mistake. So be careful and watch your back. Also, we have this customer covered in scabs who may tell you that you need to eviscerate yourself. Do not listen to him and never, ever, ever, ever go on the roof if he asks you to do so. We do have a friendly demon named Balthazar who will help you sometimes find the wrong movie. Please stay away from him as well and seek out either Mikey or myself. We're so glad to have you here. Anyway, so that's my spiel about VHS Doom. If you guys did not know, Mikey and I actually designed T-shirts for the VHS Doom podcast here. They're on our website, which is vhsdoom.com. If you want to help Mikey get a microphone and not just have to use his cell phone while he sits in a random room by a window, go buy a shirt. That'd be super cool. You don't sound that bad, though. So if you don't want to buy a shirt, who cares? Don't buy a shirt. But if you do, I mean, and they're pretty cool. Like they're staff shirts. So, I mean, if you want to be a member of the staff, we might hire you.
You still have to buy one, though.
Maybe we should interview people before we let them buy our shirts.
Nah. No one can have one.
It's kind of a free-for-all in here anyway. Oh, well. Anyway, so that's us. Thanks for tuning in. All right, you ready? Ready to dive in on this bish?
Scabby Man's here, too. Oh, no.
What did he just say? Heavy penis?
He said Faces of Death, and then he said ooh.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Yeah. Let's do it, man. All right. So I actually watched Faces of Death today while I was doing research, just for like a recap and to, I don't know, skeeve myself out a bit. But anyway, we'll talk about that as we go. All right. So Faces of Death, which was later re released as the original Faces of Death, is a 1978 American Mondo horror film written and directed by John Allen Schwartz, credited under the pseudonyms Conan Laciliere, I don't know if I'm saying that right, and Alan Black, respectively. So, Mondo horror, do you have, I mean, it's like a subgenre of exploitation. Do you have any like specific Mondo?
Yeah, I don't have that many of them. I think I just have Faces of Death and maybe Mondo Kane. I'm not too sure.
So it's like a subgenre of exploitation films and documentary films,
Shockumentaries.
right? Shockumentary. It's like pseudo documentary. Usually depicts sensational topics.
I've seen a ton of them though.
Yeah. So the term mondo is derived from the Italian word for world. So world films, I guess. They soared to popularity in the 60s with the releases of Mondo Cane, Women of the World, and Africa Audio. The genre arguably reached its peak with Faces of Death in 78, which inspired a myriad of imitators such as the Traces of Death series.
That one is all real gore.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Faces is kind of mixed.
Yeah, it was. Another series banned from television
I've seen
and
those.
death scenes, as well as the Faces of Gore series. So, Faces of Death is shown in a documentary-like style. It centers on pathologist Francis B. Gross, played by actor Michael Carr. The narrator presents the viewer with a variety of footage showing different gruesome ways of dying from a variety of sources. Some of the most iconic scenes were faked for the film, while most of the film is pre-existing video footage of real deaths or the aftermath of deaths. It received generally negative reviews, but it was a huge success at the box office, reportedly grossing over $35 million worldwide.
Wow. What was the budget on it?
$450,000. So they made bank on their budget.
People want to see death.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like the majority of that budget must have been in obtaining footage, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So, Faces of Death did gain a cult following. It was eventually deemed artistically significant to film, and it also spawned several sequels, which was Faces of Death 2 and 3. Okay, so do you want to jump into the plot? You want to kind of discuss the plot together? Do you want me to read the plot?
You could read the plot. We can talk about it.
Okay, all right. So
That's fine with you. If that's fine with you.
yeah, for sure. All right, so step up close to the counter, friends, and let's talk about this movie. Let's go. Plot. Okay, so after performing open heart surgery on an unnamed patient, pathologist Francis B. Gross states to the viewer that he has become interested with the transitional periods of life and death thanks to a recurring dream. The dream was weird as shit. Like, I don't know. Did you see when they dropped the lid onto the casket that the girl like disappeared from it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. And then lowering her into the ground. I mean, that was artsy. It was artsy fartsy.
They're going to be remaking this movie. You know that, right?
Yeah, we'll get to that. Stop spoiling. So footage is played of animal deaths, including chickens at a slaughterhouse, dog fights, the mummified
That always
corpses.
bothers me.
Yeah, the mummified corpses of the deceased inhabitants of Guantanamo, the natural predators of the Amazon rainforest, and the ways they kill their prey, a monkey being killed and its brain being eaten by guests at a banquet, and a man killed by an alligator, which Gross calls a violent retaliation from a creature who has suffered continued abuse from mankind. That is a lot of stuff here that they talked about. So, um, the mummy scene was the music was awful.
It
I'm
really
like
was.
super fresh off of this, but it made me like almost go crazy listening to that. The dog fights were really sad. Um, I felt like
That's the parts that bothers me the most in these movies is the animals, honestly.
right. Me too. Like watching the a dog fight really bothers me because I have two dogs, right? And I can't believe that people would do that. But he did make a good quote like they're doing what mankind has bred them to do, which is like a commentary more on us than it is on the dogs, right? So,
I guess that's the
um,
overall theme of this episode.
yeah, and then I mean, just to show the dating of this film as well, if you do decide to check it out and watch it, and you haven't before,
I think
um,
everyone should.
yeah, you know,
Well, if you're
we'll talk.
squeamish, not really, but
No, I don't even know if I would say that. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well, like recommendations. I don't know that it's necessary. I don't know that it's necessary for people to watch in today's world because things have gotten so
far
much
worse.
more intense, right? But it does have some value. So anyway, showing the dating of the movie when they do refer to the Amazon tribe, he calls them an Indian tribe and savages in in that section.
Yeah,
So
that sucks.
yeah, so just pointing that out. I'm calling out what I hear. So anyway, yeah, and then also when they start going through the slaughterhouse stuff, or they start with like the African tribe and the farmer. Like the African tribe is killing a bull, and the farmer is killing a chicken. Um, they deal with the realities of food, right? And I like that a lot. Also, the slaughterhouse, they deal with the realities of food on a major scale, production scale. So I think what he was trying to do here, and you tell me what you think after I say this, but I think what he was trying to do was to show the cruelty in the killing of one animal to feed your family or your group versus
The mass
the
slaughter.
cruelty necessary to feed the masses protein, right? Essentially.
Yeah,
So there are several themes in this that are it's very 70s. It's almost hippie-ish, which is kind of it. I get it, right? It's like an activist kind of film on many levels. He just uses death as like the tie-in for all of it. But I think he made a quote at that point that says, like, after studying this or after seeing this death, this face of death, I think that I might become a vegetarian. And honestly, watching that part, I was like, man, I should probably reduce my meat consumption because that is unacceptable. The
it's only
amount of
gotten far
suffering.
worse since the '70s, if you think about it.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten worse. The numbers have definitely gotten bigger. Um, so yeah, that was a big point for me. What do you think of the animal part of this film?
I think the same thing, honestly.
Yeah.
Animal stuff in any movie really bothers me. I mean, I not gonna lie, I do like the Italian cannibal stuff, but the animals dying in that, or in like Faces of Death, or like even just like in like the like Rotten.com kind of stuff, like is horrible.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember telling
Absolutely.
you like one time I was on a website and all of a sudden I saw like dogs being like getting ready to be eaten, or like in like a factory, and it just scared me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's that's the point I was saying earlier. I don't think that necessarily people need this film to see the things that could be life altering for them nowadays because there's so much intensity just randomly on the internet. Like and I might cut this out because it's a lot, but like just on Reddit, like just
Yeah, there's a
randomly
lot
on
of gore tags on there.
randomly on Reddit, I've seen a guy get beat to death with a hammer. You know what I mean? Like,
I've
you
seen a
don't
cartel murder recently.
Yeah, absolutely. Or like, somebody wearing someone else's face for real, not like Leatherface. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that stuff all is terrifying and it exists. But I do think that the benefit of watching this film is that it's organized in a way that makes you think about what you're doing.
Where it's not like a porn kind of thing where like you keep watching it for like your dopamine, like some weird people do that.
Yeah, some people unfortunately are really into gornography, is what I'll call it.
Hey, that was gonna be the title of a movie if I ever make it.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I stole it.
Where like you turn it on, you think it's getting a porno, and all of a sudden it's just like gore.
They
not
just
real
murder
gore.
everybody. Oh my
Not real
God.
gore.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Fake gore. Yeah. No, some people are really into, unfortunately, watching things that like murders happen or, whatever, suicides. I don't want to hate on anybody, but if that is something that you're really into, definitely seek out a little bit of therapy if you can. It would be good for you because there might be something going on there. So don't seek that stuff out and because of our podcast here. Okay. All right. Let's get it. So then let's see here. Okay, yeah, this was an interesting bit. So Gross next narrates over recordings of assassinations, stating that Homo sapiens are the only species to kill for greed. Assassin Francois Jordan is interviewed, admitting that he kills solely for payment, not for political or social value. Gross introduces another type of killer, the one who kills for no apparent reason. A gunfight ensues between a SWAT team and an armed murderer. During the gunfight, the SWAT team throws tear gas into the house of the murderer, who is later shot, after which the team enters the killer's house to find his family stabbed to death.
I remember
Gross,
that.
Yeah, that one was intense. Gross questions whether the man's actions were caused by society. As criminal Larry De Silva is executed by electric chair, Gross questions if two wrongs make a right. We will get to those in a minute. Let me keep running with the plot. Let's get through the plot, and then we'll talk about the controversies in the different scenes, okay? Okay, so next, Gross visits a Chinese morgue where Dr. Thomas Noguchi is performing the embalming process on multiple corpses. One cadaver is a pale, horrifically bloated, drowned woman. The other is a decapitated man whose skin is peeled off his skull for examination. Gross asks Noguchi for his thoughts on his own embalming process after he dies, to which he replies, "Life is purely a transitory state." One cadaver, Samuel Berkowitz, has his body fluids replaced with a liquid with low freezing point and his body stored in a freezer with 24/7 maintenance. The cryogenics thing, that was an interesting little section for sure. Gross explains the purpose of this particularly costly process is to preserve the body for future sciences to revive him. I don't know if you paid attention in this point. Like, I just barely caught it, but they list his name and he was like 70 plus years old because they put his birthday and his death day. It was like, he was like 75 or something like that. I don't know. Did you message me? Heavy penis? Everyone. What is
That was from
Wang
before.
Johnson Wienerstein?
I'm trying to make you laugh while you're reading it. Sorry.
Wang Johnson Wienerstein? Bro. Okay. All right. Is that the new name? All right. So
No,
you're
I just
listening to.
I was trying to.
No. You're here today on the VHS Doom podcast with me, your host, Dylan Crutcher, and my co host, Wang Johnson Wienerstein. Stupid. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. It started giving me this like message notification. Like,
I thought it was going to do it like right as we were coming back from your phone call.
That's awesome. That's really funny. No, it had been popping up for a little bit, but I didn't get a chance to look at it until
Yeah,
now.
I wasn't doing it
like,
while you were reading though.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I appreciate it. All right. So the next segment displays war and atrocities in history, including the Holocaust. That was hard. That was a tough one. The segment ends with Gross saying that Hitler lost control not only of his army, but man, them soda pops. Jeez Louise. Hitler lost control not only of his army, but of his mind. There's footage of a woman jumping from 23 stories and hitting the concrete
That
bin
fucked me up.
shown. That one was really bad. Gross admits that suicide is the face of death he wishes to never see again. Yeah, that one was awful to watch. A note on that section that I wrote down because I was like, no fucking way they just did this. They played a song right before she jumped. And in the beginning of the song, it goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then she jumps from the ledge and falls and dies. That was like a mind F for me. I'm trying not to
Am I
curse
just
too
like
much.
ruining you with these movies I show you?
No. You're not. It's just I am like Mr. Detail, so I pay attention to like everything. And when I heard a 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4, and boom, she jumped off, I was like, these sick bastards.
We're gonna need a
Anyway,
therapy episode for you.
yeah, because that was real. That was a real suicide. Like,
Yeah, no.
like that was. I've seen worse, but crazy. Anyway, and then we jump into footage of animals dying due to litter and pollution. It's followed by sick children and impoverished villages due to polluted lands and famine. More of the horrific nature of man is examined with footage of a cannibalistic cult eating the innards of a cadaver stolen from a morgue and then partaking in an orgy afterwards. That was dumb as hell, but we'll talk about that shortly because we're going to deep dive more into the controversies and each one here is addressed. And then we see footage of several more tragic accidents being shown, culminating in a scene of a person attempting to parachute jump but dying after the parachute fails to open properly.
That's why I would never do jump out from a plane.
Yep, same, man. I want to, but after that, I'm like, nah, I don't know about that.
I saw this probably when I was in my teens online or something, this movie. And I don't want to go skydiving.
Yeah, right.
This in the movie Lucky Sky Diamond, where a person dies like that. It's like guinea pig movie.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah,
I'll send you the YouTube trailer thing.
Well, if it'll make you feel any better, please go watch the King of the Hill episode where Peggy jumps out of the plane, hits the ground, and survives. She just breaks both of her legs. So it might make you feel like, oh, there's a chance. No, I am not jumping out of a plane after that. So what messed me up more than anything in this scene for this like particular incident was that Gross explains that the paramedics told him that, luckily it was a painless death because the gentleman who jumped out of the plane went into cardiac arrest on the way down, according to their tests or whatever.
Yeah, he was probably freaking out.
Yeah, well, so Gross slowed, or like the filmmaker slowed down the film to show that the person was like struggling in the air. And he said specifically, like he disputed the notion that the death was quick and painless, as he would have been conscious and aware for the entire fall to the ground. So that was just a little bit like messed up. I'm like, man, I'm sure, humans who are paramedics or whatever, and, talking to the public say, well, it was painless, maybe when they knew it was not painless at all. So yeah, now I'm not jumping out of a plane and you aren't either. So yay.
I barely even like going on planes now.
Right. Well, that sucks because, all right, so I'm flying to Texas on Thursday, which is why we're recording this on Tuesday. And they showed the aftermath of a plane accident. Oh my God. We'll get to that. Anyway, so next in the movie, footage of several more tragic accidents is shown, culminating in a scene of a person attempting a parachute jump. Oh, wait, I already said that. No. Okay, so that segment of the movie ended with footage, and air traffic control audio from the crash of PSA Flight 182 and its grisly aftermath of scattered mutilated body parts and numerous destroyed houses. Gross states that the neighborhood smells like rotting bodies and jet fuel, and that a mutilated body with only its torso and right hand is the worst face of death. They did say in this point of the film, or he narrated that there had been a dead body that flew through a window into a woman's house. Like, if that's true, that is like the biggest mind fuck. You need therapy for sure ever.
I don't know what I would do if a body just flew in through my window.
Bro, if I was just sitting here, because there's a window to my left, if I was just sitting here talking to you and boom, a body flew through the window and squished my cat that's laying on the floor right here, I would be in therapy for the rest of my life.
I'm in a room full of windows right now.
I guess you learn to live with stuff, but anyway. All right. Yeah, let's move on. So Gross then introduces the next topic, which is the role of supernatural forces in death. This was the part of the movie I liked the least. He meets with an architect, Joseph Binder, whose wife and son both died under tragic circumstances. It's explained that the son was unfortunately killed, like in a traffic accident, I think it was, and the wife then committed suicide. So those are two. That's not. They both died at the same time. It's at separate times, shortly apart. One was killed, and one killed themselves. Anyway, so Binder confides to the viewer that he believes his family remains as ghosts in his house that are attempting to communicate with him. Gross enlists the services of parapsychologists to verify this. The team takes photographs of footprints and two apparitions. Binder or Bender, whatever, communicates with the spirits of his family through a medium, seemingly confirming the existence of life after death. What they is not here in this article is that Gross says specifically, I had to confirm whether or not this was the existence of an afterlife. And how could the mind of such a regular person perceive such incredible things? Like something like that is said. But I mean, literally, like weeks ago, the man's son was killed and his wife killed herself, like back to back. So I'm not going to say that the mind of a normal person has been affected by ghosts. I'm going to say the mind of a previously normal person has been wrecked by massive tragedy. And now you're helping him confirm his psychosis almost. Not that I'm saying ghosts aren't real.
I don't know if I believe in ghosts. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not saying yes, no, nothing. I'm just saying it's much more likely that he is in a state of like shock. And unfortunately, this filmmaker has taken advantage of this shock and tried to make something more out of it than it is. So this is the one part of the movie that I'm like, nah, man, don't even. I don't know. What are your thoughts here?
Same. I feel like they're just like exploiting his mental illness.
Right. Yeah, for sure. All right. So at the end here, so after studying Binder or Bender's case, Gross concludes that when we die, it isn't really the end, as the soul in each of us remains a traveler forever. Gross ends by questioning whether death is the end of the beginning or the beginning of the end, whatever, and leaves the footage he has shown to the viewer's interpretation. The film then ends with peaceful music, footage of a baby's birth, and photos of the child and its mother being together and being happy. I guess I kind of like the up after all of the down. That was a way to like calm the mind after just like insanity for a while.
Yeah, I've seen the documentaries where it just keeps going.
Right. Yeah. So that was a little different. That was okay. I didn't mind that part so much. The whole soul, like making an argument for the soul moving on and staying around forever is such. Okay, just to be frank, and these are my opinions and no one else's. Okay,
I probably agree with them, honestly.
Well, we'll see. But when you point out the harsh realities of life and its existence all around us, and the ultimate death of everything and everyone, and you make it so adamantly clear that our actions have consequences and effects on the world. And then you take all of that learning that you've set up with all of your viewers and you throw it in the garbage at the last second because of a soul, then you make the rest of your movie pointless. Okay. So if you've told me that my actions are killing a lot of animals, which is really sad, that my actions are polluting the ocean and killing marine life, which is true, and that hurts, that my actions are polluting the planet and causing pollution to kill humans as well and children. And then you tell me at the very end, but you have a soul that'll live on forever. It makes me think that my actions don't really matter that much right now. So I feel that that cheapened the end of the movie. And I hope that this is a different enough perspective because there have been several people on our Twitter when we posted this poll that said, oh, this movie's been done a million times. Like, so is Cannibal Holocaust. So, it's going to be like hearing the same thing over and over. Hopefully that perspective is just different enough that you're like, yeah, I agree. Or, yeah, I hate you, Dylan. I can't believe you said that. I don't care either way.
And goddamn Mike for liking it too.
Right? Mikey, how
I agree
could
100%
you?
with what you just said though.
Yeah, so that's my 2 cents on the ending. I thought that the ending cheapened the movie horribly, and I think that it just gave everybody an easy way out of their own actions. But anyway, so yeah, it was kind of interesting going through the cast notes. So Michael Carr plays Francis B. Gross. Whoa. Why you can't be doing stuff like that, Mikey? So Mikey stays on. I stay on camera on our app all the time, so he can see me when I'm glaring at him and be like, "Hey, you're supposed to talk" or whatever. Mikey never puts his camera on until randomly he just puts on his camera with like a terrifying face and then turns it right back off. So thanks for that.
I'm sorry,
bro. You're too much. Okay. Anyway, so cast notes: Michael Carr as Francis B. Gross. So Samuel Berkowitz is credited for the film, he was the guy who was cryogenically frozen. But he gets a credit. Sad here, Mary Ellen Brighton is credited for the film because she is a suicide victim. So she's actually credited for the film. Sad stuff. And then Thomas Noguchi as the chief medical examiner and coroner is credited. There aren't any other noted credits on this article that I'm seeing. All right, so production notes. The movie was written and directed by John Alan Schwartz, who was credited as both Alan Black and Conan LeCillier, what we talked about earlier. Schwartz also took credit as the second unit director, this time as Johnny. Get your cough. Random note on that. I love that. Get your cough. He also appears in one of the segments of the film as the leader of the alleged flesh-eating cult in San Francisco and has brief appearances in several other movies of the series. Schwartz...
That's hilarious. I forgot about that part.
Yeah. That blood orgy made me laugh. I have some notes on that for later. Schwartz wanted to depict a very real death with an analytical view rather than purely exploitive purposes, but the film's inclusion of fake scenes have brought this to debate. The movie features Michael Carr as the narrator and creative consultant called Dr. Francis B. Gross, as we said. His voice is reminiscent of Leonard Nimoy in the popular TV show In Search Of. Yeah, so like I said earlier, the budget was $450,000, and it did bring in about $35 million, which is theatrical, not including rentals. But I don't know if I should say this or not. You can watch it for free on YouTube. So I don't know that maybe YouTube will take it off because I said this out loud. So maybe I'll cut this out. I have a DVD of it. Yeah, I don't, and it's not available anywhere on streaming that I could find. So I went to YouTube. I guess YouTube's technically streaming. We'll call it that. All right. So there are several extremely fake scenes in Faces of Death. One depicts the monkey being killed at the table when they hit it with the hammer, and they just have like a monkey head spinning at the table. Like, whoa, whoa. And it's just screaming, but the mouth never closes. Anyway. Yeah, so that's obvious. That's an obvious fake. And then several of the human death scenes are obvious fakes as well. We'll talk about those. But they say that the movie is about 40% fake and 60% is real out of the 105-minute runtime. So most of the footage was brought from Germany, and then others were rejected newsreels and medical examiner footage. I'm sorry. Most of the footage was purchased from Germany. So they did. That's where that budget probably comes in, if I had to guess. The sequence of Samuel Berkowitz's cryogenic freezing actually occurred in the same year as the film's release, but in 1986, he was given a proper burial due to budget and loss of interest from the family. That's really sad. That was a sad note there.
You think it could work?
So, what?
You think it could work?
No, absolutely not. Not yet. Not. Okay, so the premise is that like certain animals can be frozen and then come back to life, right?
Like bugs. Yeah.
Like fish, bugs, some frogs. But humans are an extremely complex being when it comes to like our physiology. So freezing, our brains are actually probably a little too complex for that process, because once your brain shuts off, it just it doesn't turn back on. It's very, very, very rare for that to happen. Even if somebody goes into, a coma is a little bit different. But if your brain dead,
your brain's still working though. Like if it's frozen, it's not.
The thing is, at death, your brain is no longer working. So I don't know, and I am not a scientist nor a study of cryogenics, but I don't know of anyone who was frozen alive. Do you know what I mean?
Like Walt Disney?
So, maybe.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I would love to see the day where Futurama is real and Richard Nixon is talking to me.
That's what I was
a
thinking
glass,
of when you said
container
cryogenics before, when like Fry fell in.
Yeah. Yeah, so I thought it was interesting that was in this movie at all. But I guess maybe that was the time period where it was just starting to become interesting. But by then, again, by 86, so this movie came out in what, 78?
Uh-huh.
So by 86, Samuel Berkowitz's family had lost interest in keeping him cryogenically preserved, which is an extremely expensive process from what I've heard.
Reverse that and then embalm him?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. They went for a burial.
Would the chemicals work together? Like, I feel like it would, like, I don't know. It's weird.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a weird one. So anyway, so yeah, they've said that, like not the climax of the movie, but like the step before the climax. I think they call it is it like a nadir or something like that? That's the term.
No, I didn't go to film school. I wish I did.
I don't know. Anyway, that section of the movie is the inclusion of the extreme fatal accident, which is the shattered remains of a cyclist under a semi-tractor trailer. And that one is really sad because it shows the victim's sister crying. That's actual news footage. The camera would pan long enough to capture the paramedics scooping up blood clots, brain matter, and clumps of hair from the tarmac. This incident is authentic and culled from newsreels. According to the DVD commentary, the creators were eventually brought to light. The victim was actually a man, not a woman, as described in the film. Oh, interesting. Schwartz became aware of this after the victim's sister, unsure if she's featured. Well, I don't know. They got somebody crying, and it looked like the sister protested the use of this footage. So they said it was a little girl who got killed, but it was actually a man. But there was a sister, not sure if it was the person who was filmed crying, who protested the use of this person's death in the film. Interesting stuff there. Okay, so according to Schwartz, the scene in the film wherein a murder is executed by electric chair was achieved with the use of a fake chair built in a friend's loft and toothpaste to emulate the saliva. I thought that guy did a really good acting job of dying and being shocked, though. If you remember, like, he started having like bubbles come out of his mouth, like he was using
How can I
toothpaste
not
to
remember
make
that? I
that
saw
like
that way too young.
right. But the way that he was holding his body and shaking, I thought he did a pretty good job.
Makes me want to do that Brava
That
scene better.
right, yeah, you really need to get that. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, yeah. So, and then they added the electric zapping sounds.
Zippy
He
up.
was inspired to make the scene after he read about a recent execution by the electric chair and was surprised to find it still in practice. He wanted to find a way to film a real chair execution, but none were available at the time of production. Now, what they don't mention here, and I can't find any notes on, but I wrote it down, was the gas chamber killing of one of the other prisoners. So there were two prisoners. The first one was gassed. The second one went into the electric chair. They say specifically in this article that the electric chair was fake. Was the gas chamber real? Was the gas chamber kill real? Do you know?
I have no idea. I always thought it was.
I do not either.
I could be wrong though.
I don't know. We'll have to do more research, and I can do a follow-up note in the next episode. Because I can't find any notes on that. And I want to know, because that would be really sad.
That would be
true. Yeah. Anyway. All right. And then lastly on notes here, the infamous Flight 182 crash happened no less than 2 months before the film's release. And the graphic footage depicting the crash aftermath, destroyed houses, and scattered body parts were included to the film near the climax. Still images and air traffic audio were used for the crash itself because no actual footage is shown or known to exist. According to Schwartz, the film was pretty much completed, but reworked immediately after the crash occurred, which is probably smart on their end because they were like almost done with production. They reworked it, they put it in, and then they put out the movie. So it was like a really fresh incident, which might have really helped with the marketing of that movie. I mean, super sad, very tragic, but probably a great decision on the production's part. Okay. All right. Lastly, we'll get into the censorship because it is a video nasty. We're going to talk legal cases. There aren't many for this one. And then we will talk about the future reboot before we move in to our second film of the day. Bro, you look super creepy. You got to keep me on my toes, I guess. So we'll finish that up. We'll move, and then we're going to move into our double feature second film, Cannibal Holocaust. All right. Okay, so you good?
The Scabby attacks.
Is that Scabby?
Yeah.
God damn, Scabby. He's always over your shoulder. You know what I mean?
I found out he was the one biting the tapes. These like little moments of me being possessed just keep happening throughout the show.
Bro, he probably licked the tapes and then used his spit to possess you through your pores.
So wait, it's kind of like Alien if it was a demon? Like his saliva is like a poison that like possess. I don't even know.
I think so. I think he's able to like mind meld with you through his own spit or his own mucus from his scabs. I don't know.
While you're sleeping, he feeds you one of his scabs.
Yeah, I mean, he puts this little scab in your mouth that dissolves like an acid tab.
Not even
or
like that,
you know,
like Listerine mints.
Yeah, it's thin. It's like thin scabs. Jeez.
Freshly picked.
Minty, scabby, and now I'm possessed. All right, so moving on to censorship of Faces of Death. So due to its graphic content, Faces of Death was banned and censored in many countries. The movie is often billed as banned in 46 countries, but this claim is doubtful. In the United Kingdom, though, the film was prosecuted and added to the Video Nasty list, and that's why we're covering it. It was deemed to violate the Obscene Publications Act of 1959. In 2003, the film was allowed to be released on DVD in the UK. It took until 2003. That's wild.
A lot of movies that happened too. Like during the video
Mm-hmm.
nasty thing, like The Exorcist and Texas Chainsaw were banned too. The craziest thing about the whole
Like,
thing is the woman who like led it didn't even watch any of the movies put on the list.
yeah,
So there are some
yeah,
like duds of movies that are on the list.
that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? Whatever.
And I feel like this
Whatever.
sells movies, honestly.
It does. It's a notoriety thing, right? It really is.
That's how I knew what to pick up when I was like a teenager. Like I found out about the video nasties list and I just started collecting them.
People love that. I mean, there are dedicated accounts to the Video Nasties
And podcasts.
and podcasts dedicated just to this subject, right? It's more of a fame thing than anything. You know what I mean? It's like a reputation point.
It's
So,
like those
anyway,
stickers on the CDs in the 90s.
right? Parental advisory. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get this one. Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah.
I'm going to get that.
Nice. Yeah, for sure. All right. So, yeah, in 2003, that DVD was released in the UK, but 2 minutes and 19 seconds were acquired by the British Board of Film Classification to remove scenes of the fighting dogs and the monkey being beaten to death, which is fake.
But they didn't say anything about the suicide, right?
No, they didn't take out the suicide, but they took out the dogs. Understandably, the dog part was hard to watch.
A lot of people get pissed when recently like a couple like different labels put out different like cannibal movies and like there's scenes like cut from it. They get really mad that it's not in the movie.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense. Like, and again, once again, you can go to YouTube and watch the full movie. So,
But I want to own it.
oh, but I want to own it. I know, right? That's part of it. That's part of the draw of being a cinephile,
Because
right?
like once it's like taken off of streaming, and like people talk about this on Twitter, you're not gonna see it again whenever like a streaming service wants to put it up again, or they have the rights to. Like if you have the disc, you could watch it.
Yeah,
That's why I
yeah,
collect.
yeah. Well, we'll talk a little bit about this, like, and we'll get to a section where we talk a little bit about the reason things are banned and whatnot as well, and how, like what Mikey said, certain movies made it onto the list just because they made it onto the list. Well, certain movies commit the same crimes and are not held to the same account.
Yeah, true.
Just because of what they're called or what else happens in them. So, for example, here, so the British Board of Film Classification made them remove the scenes of fighting dogs and a monkey being cruelly beaten to death in accordance with the Cinematograph Films Animal Act of 1937 and their own guidelines. But in all actuality, the same amount of animal violence existed in other notable films, such as Apocalypse Now, which were considered to be more art-based films.
That's a good movie, though.
It is. It's a good movie, but you can't. I mean, in my mind, you can. People do. But holding one film to a certain standard and another film letting it slide because of its art house, or whatever you want to call it, like it being more of a potential Oscar winner or whatever, but Faces of Death is just like, oh.
Yeah, I hate that. That's why I hate when people call some horror movies thrillers because they don't want to say it's a horror movie.
Right, yeah.
Like how like Silence of the Lambs won for like best thriller, the Oscars, but it's a horror movie.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's a double standard that I don't like, but people are full of them. So anyway, let's continue. So in 1980, Faces of Death was refused classification by the Australian Classification Board. Despite the ban, several bootleg VHS tapes were released in the country, and then the film was unbanned and released uncut on DVD in 2007. However, the sequels remain banned in the country. I have not seen the sequels. Have you?
I've seen Faces of Death too. That's about it.
Okay. I think it goes up to what, 5?
I think
but
there
then
are 5.
4 and 5. I think 4 and 5 are all just reshoots of other material from other movies. So I don't think anything's original in those two
No, I
movies
don't
that
think
I know
so.
of. Anyway, the film was also banned in New Zealand in 1989, and then in Germany, the film was edited for a VHS release. And then what I found very interesting here, the ban on the film was lifted in Germany in the spring of 2022.
Really?
So they were not able to watch this film until last year. This film made
I
in
didn't know that fact.
1978.
That's fucking wild. That was like what, 78? You said?
78.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy, right? All right, so moving on. Legal cases. In June 1985, a mathematics teacher named Bart Schwartz showed the film to his class at Escondido High School in Escondido, California. Two of his students, Diane Feast and Cheryl Forget, her last name is Forget, Forget. Maybe it's 4J, I don't know, but she forgot, claimed that they were so traumatized by the film that they both developed an unnatural fear of dying and suffered emotional distress. The families of the two girls sued the school and received a combined $100,000 settlement. Schwartz was suspended from the school for 15 days without pay, but he was not fired.
That happened with the ABCs of Death, where a teacher, she showed her class ABCs of Death, where that's not real. Obviously, it's an anthology movie,
Yeah.
but you should be showing that to kids.
Oh, so I have a real story for you right now, which you're going to be like, get the fuck out of here. But for real, it happened. So when I was in middle school, I was in eighth grade. I had a science teacher, Mrs. Jones. So she recorded, or her husband recorded, a vet performing a castration on a horse. They were castrating the horse, and they cut it open and showed everything, and she played it for a bunch of eighth graders. I was like physically sick
That's
afterwards.
like obscene.
This, yeah, I don't know how she got away with that, other than we were like a little country bumpkin
I
school.
was gonna
But
say you
anyway,
grew up in the South.
yeah. So that really bothered me, and then well, come to find out, this teacher like always had the lights off in the room, like all the time, always had a headache. She ended up sleeping with a student like a couple years later. I was in high school at this point, and he told his parents and the principal that she slept with him, that they slept together, and she killed herself. So she was like severely mentally unwell, and somehow was allowed to teach eighth graders and also show us a video of a castration in eighth grade science class.
I don't know what to say about that. That's
Ridiculous.
horrifying.
Yeah. So again, faces of death, like, I've seen worse. You know what I mean? No, I'm kidding. It's bad to see people die, but like, people are wild.
This is why I don't post gore grind albums on Twitter anymore.
Jesus, for
They
real.
use real gore, and then like I post the album cover and I get banned.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But they don't. Never mind. We're not going to jump into the politics of Twitter. No, not on this episode. Okay, so last note on Faces of Death, because this is as deep as I'm going. Legendary Entertainment has acquired the rights to Faces of Death with plans to launch a new horror franchise. Barbie Fieria? Ferreira, Fieria. So Barbie Fieria and Darcy Montgomery and Josie Tota are cast, with filming starting in April 2023. So they started filming last month, a couple days ago,
Yeah, that's what I
possibly.
heard about it.
The reboot. Very cool. All right. Any final notes, Mikey?
I know. I just think it's kind of weird. I think it's weird that they wanted to make a new franchise. They couldn't pick something else. Like, I don't know, maybe continuing the My Bloody Valentine remake stuff. Like, this
Oh
doesn't make
yeah,
any
right.
sense to me. Like, are they going to show
I don't
real
know.
gore and then like fake stuff too, or is it just gonna be like in name they just like make a movie?
I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to keep like tabs on what's happening with that, because I'd be interested. Does the world need another Faces of Death where they tell you, look how many animals you're
You can
killing?
just find it on Reddit
Maybe, but you
or
can't.
Twitter now
It's
because Twitter
everywhere.
doesn't care anymore.
Right. So, but if it's an effort to concentrate all of that information that's out there right now into one place to show it and make more of an impact, okay, I hear you. Go for it. Um, I feel like we've improved on some things, right? Particularly with the animal abuse outside of the commercial system. The commercial system is still really bad, but I think they've done a lot of cracking down over the years. Like, okay, one of the notes I made, the seal culling. Did you remember that part where they were hitting seals with sticks
Yeah,
like bats? That was really, really hard to watch because they literally left like hundreds of corpses of seals all over. So I don't know that that's still happening, and maybe this movie helped with that. I don't know. I haven't done enough research. I need to look into, and maybe we'll do follow ups on the next episode. Um, does seal culling still happen? I don't know. I haven't done research on that. Francois Jourdan, was he a real assassin? I don't know. I don't know. Um, and then okay, some really funny points of the movie. This is just like my notes on this. The flesh eating cult orgy, hilarious. That was the funniest thing. And then also the evangelicals with the snakes, LMAO.
they always make me laugh.
Bro, because the whole scene they're like talking about like, oh, to be closer to God, they put themselves in danger and da 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 da, and they're going on and on and on. And at the very end of that scene, they say, and later that day, one of the congregation members died by snake bite, and I
See,
laughed
this could
so
be like
hard.
used in like a Twitter page for this kind of thing.
Oh, another question I have. I don't know, and I found no notes on it yet. Was the bear scene real? So they said that two families happened to be filming the same bear in a park because they were too close to him or feeding him bread or whatever. Well, one person gets out of the car and he films his own death essentially because the bear attacks him. He gets too close to the bear. And then you see the bear eating something, but it's behind a log and he's like pulling skin off of it. So I would like to know if the bear scene was real. I think it's definitely fake. I don't want to say definitely. I think it's
Allegedly
fake,
fake.
but I'm allegedly.
Because I thought the same thing too, honestly.
I couldn't find any notes on it, but I'm going to do more in-depth research on that for a follow-up note. And then lastly, the very, very funniest part of the movie that made me laugh out loud more so than the guy dying by snakebite was they played a song during the litter and pollution scenes, and the lyrics started, "Jesus doesn't live here anymore." Bro, it was too much. It's like a hippie song, like real like flower power, but it's like Jesus doesn't live here
Sounds like something
anymore.
Manson would sing.
And I died. I died at that part. So anyway, friends and patrons, that is all that I have on our slight dive. I'm not going to call it a super deep dive, but a dive into the Faces of Death from 1978. Yep. And once again, if you decide to rent this movie with your membership card, just know that you can rent an additional 4 movies without any extra charges just because you're a member of the VHS Doom fan / patron club. I don't know what any of that means. None of it's real. Okay.
Don't eat the scabs.
Cool. Moving on. Yes, we'll call it the Scab Club. No, we'll save that for Jimmy. Jimmy can have the Scab Club. It'll be his fan club for his podcast. Okay. Movie number 2. Step right back up to that counter and don't you go anywhere, mother, because we're about to talk about one of the most notorious and probably more talked about Video Nasties films, definitely more talked about Video Nasties films of all time.
And one of my favorite movies of all time.
And one of Mikey's favorite movies of all time, which he voted for multiple times, I'm sure, using multiple Twitter accounts. Okay, so Here it goes. 1980s Cannibal Holocaust. Before we get rolling on this, overview, Mikey, what do you have to say about Cannibal Holocaust?
It's considered one of the first found footage movies. I love it a lot. I think it's crazy. I think the tone change in the middle of the movie is really crazy. The soundtrack is amazing by Ritz Arlani. He's one of my favorite composers, and I like how crazy and screwed up the movie is, but the score is very relaxing.
Yeah, isn't that a weird juxtaposition?
And I think Ruggiero Deodato did a good job on the movie, and I like his other movie, the one he did right before this that started the cannibal genre, Jungle Holocaust.
Was that prior?
Yes, that was first. And then
Oh.
Lenzi did Sacrifice, and then he did Cannibal Holocaust to respond to that. And then Umberto Lenzi did Cannibal Ferox.
Gotcha. Okay, great.
They're trying to outdo each other.
Makes sense. I feel like the Italians did that a lot.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So let's get rolling on Cannibal Holocaust. So, are we in the break room, sir?
Oh, you heard that. I usually keep it behind the register.
Of course I
You never
did.
say anything. I always have it behind the register.
No drinking in the front, man.
I thought that was only for Balthazar because he gets that all over the place.
Oh yeah. Well, he also drinks like these like demon drinks that if you get any spilled on the counter, it burns like a hole in the counter. Super annoying. So I told him he can't drink in the front anymore. And when I told him that, he like kicked a child, but then like said okay, and then we were fine. So
Robbed him through a set of DVDs we had.
kicked, power bombed, DVDs, table. I don't know. We might have a lawsuit, but that's Hugh Janus's problem. Cannibal Holocaust is a 1980 Italian cannibal film directed by Ruggero Deodato and written by Gianfranco Clarisi. Is that right? I hope so. It stars Robert Kerman as Harold Monroe, an anthropologist from New York University who leads a rescue team into the Amazon rainforest to locate a crew of filmmakers. Played by Carl Gabriel, York, Francesca Ciardi, Perry Piercannon, and Luca Barbeshi.
I'm so happy you're doing this because I'm bad at pronouncing all their names.
Barbareschi. I think that's it. Luca Barbareschi. It's a me, Luca Barbareschi. I'm gonna kill a turtle. The crew had gone missing while filming a documentary on local cannibal tribes. When the rescue team was only able to recover the crew's lost cans of film, an American television station wishes to broadcast the footage as a sensationalized television special. Upon viewing the reels, Monroe is appalled by the team's actions and objects to the station's intent to air the documentary. Okay. So let's get into a little bit more of the overview here. So it was produced as part of the contemporary cannibal trend of Italian exploitation cinema. Cannibal Holocaust was inspired by Italian media coverage of Red Brigade's terrorism. So Red Brigades, do you know about the Red Brigades, Mikey?
I do not. I mean, I've heard of it because I watch documentaries, but I'm not really up on Italian politics.
Yeah, no, same. And I definitely wasn't in 1980 because I was not born yet.
Neither was I.
And post World War II politics in Italy, I feel like we're probably just insane. Anyway, the Red Brigades, often abbreviated BR, was a far-left Marxist-Leninist armed organization operating as a terrorist and guerrilla group based in Italy. They were responsible for numerous violent incidents, including the abduction and murder of former Prime Minister Aldo Moro during the Years of Lead.
He was
so
probably
very
a fascist.
intense. We'll see. Let me find out. So Aldo Moro was an Italian statesman and prominent member of the Christian Democracy. Yeah, sounds like it. He was prime minister from 63 to 68.
Now that you're saying this, it does sound familiar to me.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, let's continue on Cannibal Holocaust, the real reason we're here. So the coverage included news reports that Diodato believed to be staged. That was an idea which became an integral part of the film's story. Additional story elements were influenced by the documentaries of Mondo director Gualtiero
That's why I picked
Jacopetti.
Faces of Death, honestly, for the double feature with
Was
it,
it?
because how people thought it would be the same way.
Right, it would be kind of that
Yeah.
Mondo deal. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, included the presentation of the documentary crew's lost footage, which constitutes approximately half of the film, where it really takes a turn.
When they
in
started
feels.
burning the houses, oh my god,
Bro, yeah, that is super. And you know what? That's actually a controversy in real life. I mean, not to mention is that like awful to watch, but also they used native actors and did make them stay inside of those burning huts.
yeah, they did a lot of stuff that was terrible. I'm saying.
Right. Not only was the film crew that is the focus of the film being really bad, but even the film crew who's filming Cannibal Holocaust was pretty bad. Anyway, very interesting stuff. So let's keep going. The treatment of this footage, which is noted for its visual realism, innovated the found footage style of filmmaking that would be later popularized in American cinema by the Blair Witch Project
Do you like that
and
movie?
other films, obviously. You know what? I haven't watched Blair Witch in 15 to 20 years.
So crazy that we could say that about movies now.
I know. Yes, I liked it. I found it hard to watch. Found footage is hard to watch for
I like
me.
it if it's good. That's pretty hard to say. Like I know it's kind of vague in what I'm saying, but like when it's shot, it feels real.
There is a certain. This might sound funny, but there's a certain level of camera movement that I can deal with.
Oh, so could you do Hardcore Henry?
You know what? Probably not. I haven't watched Hardcore Henry.
So
I've watched
good,
the previews
so
for Hardcore Henry, and I purposely didn't watch it because of how shaky and how much movement there was.
There's a movie like that in horror. It's called Hotel Inferno. Remember that movie I showed you, Adam Kaplan or Chaplin? I mean, from the same directors of that.
Oh yeah, I did like that one. Yeah, I like that one. That was an interesting one. It was almost like it felt like he could have been played by like Keanu Reeves
It was like
in a weird
comic
way.
book kind of feel.
I don't. Right. Anyway, okay, let's go. So Cannibal Holocaust was filmed primarily on location in the Amazon rainforest of Colombia, with a cast of indigenous tribes interacting with mostly inexperienced American and Italian actors recruited from New York City. Cannibal Holocaust achieved notoriety as its graphic violence aroused a great deal of controversy. After its premiere in Italy, it was ordered to be seized by the local magistrate. Diodato was arrested on obscenity charges, as everybody knows. He was later charged with multiple counts of murder due to the rumors that claimed several actors were killed on camera. Although Diodato was cleared of all these charges because he called these people and said, "Get me off of these charges and come show yourselves." The film was banned in Italy, Australia, and several other countries due to its graphic content.
I always find it crazy when people get banned out of their country with movies.
Right? Yeah, for real. The graphic content did include sexual assault and genuine.
Oh, that scene with The Rock always gets me. It's so bad.
Right, that one is messed.
Ugh, I need to take a shower after that movie.
I know that's super hard to watch. But anyway, there was also genuine violence towards animals. Although some nations have revoked the ban, it is still upheld in several countries. Critical reception of the film is mixed, although it has received a cult following, as we know. The film's plot and violence have been noted as commentary on journalism ethics, exploitation of South American countries, and the difference between Western and non-Western countries. Yet these interpretations have also been met with criticism, with any perceived subtext deemed hypocritical or insincere due to the film's presentation. I feel that the only true correlation that Diodato was trying to make and he has said specifically it was based on journalism and portrayal of events and how much is real versus does the media how much does the media fake you know things happening. So anyway, all right, so let's go through the plot. We'll go through the plot for a bit here and talk about some of the more notable issues. So in the plot, in the beginning, an American film crew disappears in the Amazon rainforest while filming a documentary about indigenous cannibal tribes. The team consists of Alan Yates, the director, Faye Daniels, the scriptwriter, and 2 cameramen who are Jack Anders and Mark Tomaso. Harold Monroe, an anthropologist from NYU, agrees to lead the rescue mission in hopes of finding the missing filmmakers. In anticipation of his arrival, military personnel stationed in the rainforest conduct a raid on the local Yakumo tribe and take a young male hostage in order to negotiate with the natives. Monroe flies in via float plane and is introduced to his guides, Chaco, and his assistant, Miguel. After several days of trekking through the jungle, the rescue team encounters the Yakumo. They arrange the release of their hostage in exchange for being taken to the Yakumo village. Once there, the group is initially greeted with hostility and learns that the filmmakers have caused great unrest among the people there. The next day, Monroe and his guides head deeper into the rainforest, locate 2 warring cannibal tribes, the Yanomao and the Shamatari. They encounter a group of Shamatari warriors, bless you,
Right.
and follow them to a riverbank and that's where Monroe's team saves a smaller group of Yanomao from death. The Yanomao invite the team back to their village in gratitude, but they're still suspicious of the foreigners. To gain their trust, Monroe bathes naked in a river where he's joined by a group of Yanomao. Am I saying that right?
That's how
Yanomao?
I pronounce it.
Yanomao women. The women led Monroe from the river to the shrine, where he discovers the skeletal remains of the filmmakers with their film reels nearby. Shocked by what he sees, he confronts the Yanomamo in the village, during which time he plays music from a tape recorder. They are intrigued and agree to trade it for the filmmakers' surviving reels of film. Okay, so that's... I feel like this is kind of... Once they find the film reels, he makes it back to New York.
Yeah, and see what they're actually doing to them.
Yeah, and this is where it kind of takes a turn. So he goes back to New York, and executives of the Pan American Broadcasting System invite him to host a broadcast of the documentary to be made from the recovered film. But he insists on viewing the raw footage before making the decision.
Good choice.
One of the executives first introduced...
Can you
Yeah,
imagine
right, for real. Imagine they
yeah.
just play it. Yeah, let's play this public for
Oh god, it's
the
my
world.
journalist burning people alive.
Right, for real. Oh my God. Anyway, so one of the executives first introduces him to Alan's work by showing an excerpt of his previous documentary, The Last Road to Hell, after which she informs Monroe that Alan staged dramatic scenes to get more exciting footage. Monroe then begins to view the recovered footage, which first follows the group's trek through the rainforest. After walking for days, their guide Felipe is bitten by a venomous snake. The group amputates Felipe's leg with a machete to save his life, but he dies and is left behind. The leg cut scene. Yeah, that happens real soon into their switch. Upon locating the Yakumo in the clearing, Jack shoots one in the leg so that they can easily follow him to the village. That's a bad welcome.
That was a dumb plan.
Yeah, right? For real. Once they arrive, the crew proceeds to intimidate the tribe before herding the natives into a hut, which they burn down in order to stage a massacre for their film. Monroe expresses apprehension about the stage footage and the treatment of the natives, but his concerns are ignored. Okay. So after he finishes viewing the remaining footage, Monroe expresses his disgust towards the station's decision to air the documentary. To convince the executives otherwise, he shows them the remaining unedited footage that only he has seen. The final 2 reels begin with the filmmakers locating the Yanomamo girl, who the men take turns raping against Faye's protests, stating that they are wasting film footage. Yeah. They later encounter the same girl impaled on a wooden pole by a riverbank, where they claim that the natives killed her for her loss of virginity.
Someone told me that was real when I first started watching movies.
It looks really, really real.
That effect is amazing.
Yeah. So, although it is implied that the group group themselves killed her and staged it as a murder by natives for dramatic effect. Now, to note that scene was part of the reason that they thought that this was a snuff film, but that
She was sitting on a bike
actress,
seat.
Diodato, yeah, the Diodato stated later she was sitting on a bike seat, and had a pole that she held in her mouth. And he said, amazingly, she was able to sit there for just a very long period of time and stay very still. It was like a skill.
Yeah, I
for
couldn't
her.
do that.
So, but it really, I couldn't either. I mean, good on her for making it such a realistic
An
part of the
iconic part
film.
of the film too.
Um,
You see posters, T-shirts of just that, and it says Cannibal Holocaust on it now.
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it makes perfect sense. It's such a vivid graphic. So shortly afterward, the group is attacked by the Yanomamo tribe as revenge for the girl's rape and death. Jack is hit by a spear and Alan shoots him to prevent his escape. The scene then moves to the crew filming the natives undressing Jack in their captivity and cutting his genitalia off with a
Oh
large
yeah, fuck yeah.
machete before before completely mutilating Jack's lifeless body. Shortly afterwards, an exhausted Alan says that they've gotten completely lost trying to escape and are now surrounded by the natives who have pursued them. As a last resort, Alan attempts to scare them off with a flare gun. During the commotion, Faye is captured by the Yanomamo. Alan insists that they attempt to rescue her, but Mark continues to film as she's stripped naked, gang raped, beaten to death, and beheaded. Jeez Louise. The Yanomamo then locate and kill the last two team members as the camera drops to the ground. Disturbed by what they've seen, the executives order all of the footage to be burned as Monroe leaves the station. Okay, so we came through that plot, and that is just intensity. And it's been covered a million times, but it doesn't get any less intense to hear. So, as far as cast goes, just like main, cast we kind of already covered earlier. But Mr. Diodato did play a man on university campus, and he is uncredited in that role.
He was also in Hostel 2. They did a homage to this, and he played the cannibal in one of the rooms.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was really intense. I do remember him being.
Yeah,
in
he's
that,
the cannibal eating the guy.
Was that the original Hostel
Second
or
one.
Hostel 2 or? It was the second one. I thought so. I thought it was in the second one. Those movies mess me up, man. We already talked about that, but there's
the eye stuff
anyway.
in one fucked me up.
Nothing sticks in my brain like the Achilles, bro. That's it. All right, so let's move into the controversies before we wrap up and call it a day. Since its original release, Cannibal Holocaust has been the target of censorship by moral and animal activists. Other than graphic gore, the film contains several scenes of sexual violence and genuine cruelty to animals, issues which find Cannibal Holocaust in the midst of controversy to this day. Due to this notoriety, Cannibal Holocaust has been marketed as having been banned in over 50 countries. And there's no dispute there, unlike Faces of Death. In 2006, Entertainment Weekly magazine named Cannibal Holocaust the 20th most controversial film of all time. I would like to know the rest of that list, and I'll look it up, and we'll talk about it at some point. All right, so here are some of our controversies. We had snuff film allegations. So 10 days after its premiere in Milan, Cannibal Holocaust was confiscated under the orders of a local magistrate. So Diodato was charged with obscenity. All copies were to be turned over to the authorities. The film was released in other countries like the United Kingdom via subterfuge. In 1981, during the film's theatrical run in France, the magazine Photo suggested that certain deaths depicted in the film were real, which would have made Cannibal Holocaust a snuff film. Yeah, I know. So Photo magazine. Following the publication of the Photo article, the charges against Diodato were amended to include murder. The courts believed that the actors who portrayed the missing film crew and the native actress featured in the impalement scene were killed for the camera. Talk about getting some notoriety for your film. Compounding matters was the fact that the supposedly deceased actors had signed contracts with the production, which ensured that they would not appear in any type of media, motion pictures, or commercials for at least 1 year following the film's release. Deodato really took his time to make sure he got everything in order. This was done in order to promote the idea that the Cannibal Holocaust film was truly the recovered footage of missing documentarians. During the subsequent court proceedings, questions arose as to why the actors were in no other media and if they even were alive, as Deodato claimed. He set himself up for that.
I just have a question though. How could you watch the first half of like the person in like the who's like the what's it called, the executive, and then watch that and think it's like that's not real either? Who's going around exposing the executive?
I guess in 1980, right? If you had never, because this was like a game changing moment, and that's why it's so popular, right? Because it was a game changer. If you had never seen effects like that, maybe you'd seen Faces of Death, but you knew that most of the gore was real. And then you watch Cannibal Holocaust and it looks like Faces of Death and there's blood and it's like,
And there's actual animals being slaughtered.
and there's
yeah.
actual animals being slaughtered.
I just mean like the part where it's like the actual story, not the found footage.
Right. Well, maybe the authorities, because they'd never seen anything like this, said you must have actually committed murder to get the shots. Right. So you can paste together.
Oh, I get what
they
you're
know it's a
saying.
movie.
It's more of
You know
what
what
the
I mean?
kills that happen
Like,
than the actual story.
right. So, yeah, we know it's a movie. Like, we know that it's a film and it's not real, but those look so real that you must have killed them.
That's happened in several movies in the past.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, and that's why there are these ban lists, right? Because people are like shook.
Charlie Sheen thought one of the guinea pig movies was real.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And he sent this to the FBI.
Yeah, like, oh, you guys got to watch this.
Why would anybody trust
This
him?
is a snuff film, bro. I just did 8 lines of coke and watched Guinea
Tiger's
Pig. Oh my God. Anyway, all right. So, to prove his innocence, Deodato had Luca Barbareschi. It's a me, Barbareschi. He got in contact with the other three actors, and the 4 of them were interviewed for an Italian television show. That way they could see that everybody was alive. Deodato explained in court how the special effect in the impalement scene was achieved. A bicycle seat was attached to the end of an iron pole upon which the actress sat. She then held a short length of balsa wood in her mouth and looked skyward, thus giving the appearance of impalement. Deodato also provided the court with pictures of the girl interacting with the crew after the scene had been filmed. They were presented with this evidence. Once they were presented with this evidence, the court dropped all murder charges against Deodato. Okay.
Yeah, I just think it's funny that the effects almost got him like arrested for murder.
I love it. I mean, that's classic. Like that's what makes this such a wild story. And that's why that's part of the reason it got so popular, Like, oh my God, I got to see that. All right, so let's talk censorship and then we'll talk animal cruelty and then we should be wrapping up.
He passed away recently.
He did last year, actually, in December. Or this is 2023. Yeah, it was December of 22, I think. So not that long ago. Rest in peace. All right, so for censorship, although the snuff film allegations were successfully refuted, the Italian courts decided to ban Cannibal Holocaust due to the genuine animal slayings. They cited animal cruelty laws. Deodato, Pelagi, oh God, way too many Italian names, and another Italian name. They each received 4 months suspended. They each received 4 months suspended sentences after they were all convicted of obscenity and violence charges. Deodato fought the courts for 3 additional years to get his film unbanned. In 1984, the courts ruled in favor of Deodato, and Cannibal Holocaust was granted a rating certificate of VM18 for a cut print. It would later be released uncut.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah. So throughout the years, Cannibal Holocaust has faced censorship issues in other countries around the world. In 81, video releases were not required to pass before the British Board of Film Censors, which had power to ban films in the United Kingdom. Cannibal Holocaust was released straight to video there, thus avoiding the possible banning of the film. This did not save the movie, however, because in 1983, the director of public prosecutions compiled a list of 72 releases, which would be the Video Nasties list, and declared them prosecutable for obscenity. That included Cannibal Holocaust, which was successfully prosecuted and banned. The film was not approved for release in the UK until 2001, albeit with nearly 6 minutes of mandated cuts. And in 2011, they waived all but one of these previous edits and passed Cannibal Holocaust with 15 seconds of cuts. So even all the way in 2011, they still had 15 seconds that they kept out of the movie. It was determined that the only scene that breached the guidelines was the killing of a Coda Mundi. And the BBFC acknowledged that previous cuts were reactionary to the film's reputation. Well, that's interesting. They actually said, hey, well, we overreacted. The film was also banned in Australia, the United States, Norway, Finland, Iceland, New Zealand, Singapore, and several other countries in or before 1984. The movie was briefly released in the U.S. by Trans-American Films in 1985, but this release lasted for less than a month before being pulled from theaters, likely due to the large controversy surrounding the film, and likely because of all of the housewives and families who were protesting the film with pickets. It would eventually get 2-disc DVD release in 2005 by Grindhouse. So in 2005, the Office of Film and Literature Classification in Australia did lift the ban. They passed Cannibal Holocaust with an R18 plus rating for the uncut print, including the consumer advice, high-level sexual violence, high-level violence, animal cruelty.
That's the whole movie.
Talk about some selling points. In 2006, the film was rejected for classification and banned in its entirety in New Zealand. Cuts to retain an R18 classification were offered by the office, but they were eventually refused. So last bit, animal cruelty. So many of the censorship issues with Cannibal Holocaust concern the on-screen killings of animals. Deodato himself has condemned his past actions, saying, "I was stupid to introduce animals." Although 6 animal deaths appear on screen, 7 animals were killed for the reduction, as the scene depicting the monkey's death was shot twice.
It's not this movie, but it's some cannibal movies in general. When I first saw Slave of the Mountain Cannibal God, that's by Sergio Martino, there is a snake that eats a monkey in that one. It's used in other cannibal movies, the same footage. It's so unbelievably fucked up.
Yeah, no, it's tough. I mean, honestly, in Faces of Death, when they fed the snake to the piranhas, I mean, I know they set that up on purpose, right? So that was tough. Those are always tough when they film that kind of stuff. Okay, yeah. So they killed 2 monkeys. The one consolation there is that both of those animals were eaten by indigenous cast members, so they weren't killed for no reason. They did consider monkey brains to be a delicacy there. The animals that were killed on screen were coati. Oh, that's the thing that it's mistaken for a muskrat. They call it a muskrat in the film. They kill it with a knife. The turtle, it's an arau turtle. It was decapitated and all of its limbs, shell, and entrails were removed.
And I love turtles. So.
I do too. There's a tarantula killed with a machete. A boa constrictor also killed with a machete. A squirrel monkey decapitated with a machete. And then there was a pig shot in the head with a .22 caliber rifle at point blank range. And then this is actually the little bit of an article that I was mentioning earlier when it comes to certain movies and their actions versus others and how they're treated differently. So film historian Andrew DeVos has argued that the animal deaths have been harshly condemned because of the film's classification as exploitation, whereas animal mutilations in films perceived by critics to be classics or art films are often ignored. DeVos cites several examples of this double standard, including The Rules of the Game, El Topo, Wake in Fright, and Apocalypse Now. The BBFC made similar conclusions regarding the censorship of scenes in which the deaths were quick and painless, noting removing these sequences would be inconsistent with BBFC's decisions to permit quick, clean kills in several other films, including Apocalypse Now. So yeah, it's like hype versus rules, and like some rules are applied to some films and not others based
That's
on the hype
ridiculous.
of the film or the art status of the film. It is. It definitely is. All right, so I feel like that's about all the time we have to cover. And maybe these two films were not the best to do double feature on because there's so much to talk about.
I know. I'm sorry. That's what you do.
No, it's okay. That's okay. We can do more of a deep dive at any time. Like we can do whatever episodes we want because it's.
I'd like to do a deep dive on Diodato on his like filmography.
I think that would be an awesome way to loop back in and talk about a little bit more of this film in the future, as well as his other catalog, because there's so much to cover. I have so many notes that we didn't get to. You know,
He has one of my favorite slasher movies, Body Count. He directed. Yeah, I think you'd like it. That's on YouTube
nice.
also. For those of you who can't
I'll have
find
to
it,
check it.
I have a bootleg I found on eBay years ago.
Nice. Yeah, man. Well, let me address our lovely patrons here. So, thank you for stepping up to the counter and letting us give you a very detailed explanation of our double feature today. We're going to suggest that you check both of these films out, take them home, watch them, not with the kids, possibly not with the wife or husband, depending on how squeamish they are. You make sure you get your popcorn and make sure that you at least check out the other 3 DVDs that you get as a part of your membership benefit.
What children's film are we gonna pick this week?
I think we need to recommend 2 movies. I think we need to recommend an adult, like a regular movie that is like a brain cleanser, and I think that we need to recommend a kids movie to distract the kids while they're watching these horrid cannibal and Faces of Death films. So I would say for the brain cleanser, what do you think?
Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted's Excellent
The first
Adventure.
one, yeah. Yep.
Absolutely. After you've watched these 2 horribly intense nasties, you should go watch Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Keanu Reeves, superstar. Future superstar. Also. Yep, superstar.
And director.
George Carlin guiding them through. Okay, cool. So that'll be my brain cleanser recommendation. What do you have? Because your son's a little older than my daughter. So what do you have on a recommendation for a kid?
All Dogs Go to Heaven? I don't know.
Dude, hell yeah. Great suggestion. All Dogs Go to Heaven. And I am going to say make it a double feature for the kids and go ahead and check out Homeward Bound. Yeah. Do you remember that?
Balto.
Dude, we'll make it a puppy trifecta. Yeah, All Dogs Go to Heaven, Homeward Bound, and Balto. You'll have one for All Dogs Go to Heaven was a cartoon, right?
Yeah, they all were. Well,
right? Yeah. So All Dogs Go to Heaven. All right, buddy. You go. I'll close us out. All right. So Mikey had to take off because his son woke up. And he had to get home real quick and clock out. So I'm closing up the store alone today. I want to say thank you all so much for tuning in to the VHS Doom podcast. We love having you along for the ride and love having you as our lovely patrons. So keep on checking back in. You got your 5 movies, for your membership fee. Congratulations. So we're going to have Faces of Death. You're going to check out Cannibal Holocaust. You're going to cleanse your brain with Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Then you're going to have the kids take home 3 movies and I'm going to give you the third one on the house because that's 6 movies. You're going to have the kids check out All Dogs Go to Heaven, Homeward Bound, and Balto. I do expect, fools, that every single movie that you bring back next week be fully rewinded. I know it takes your machine forever, but if you're interested, they do sell VHS rewind machines right here at VHS Doom Store in the front. They're over by the door. Grab one if you're having too much trouble rewinding all your tapes, okay? All right. I hope you guys have a lovely, lovely week. It was great having you along for this double feature ride. I know it's a longer episode, but we hope you enjoyed it anyway. Thanks so much. We'll talk to y'all soon. Peace. Mikey, he ran away because his heavy penis had to go do something, yeah. Okay. Let's do some sound effects for Mikey when he comes back.
Whoa. Wait, what?